that first day of the tournament rolls around to that night, you know, my strategy is, I'm like, well, I'm going to go to the creek I found, and I got to thinking, I'm like, well, maybe if I can get to this one little bend in the creek, you know, that was where I thought my best chances were. Maybe I could get to that bend of the creek, I'll put my power poles down on my boat, and I'll just try to milk that one little spot for the most I can make of it, and maybe do something in the tournament. Well, I knew everybody and their brother had been through there and beat it up with every technique that we all love to do, you know, the big stuff and the heavy stuff, and I knew the odds of catching fish that way probably weren't going to be really good. So I had already written off the power fishing at that point, and I thought, well, what are the techniques that I could probably salvage, the finesse stuff that could get me through. You know, what I had settled on there is I rigged up a Texas rig, just little tight lines, little 6-inch finesse worm. So instead of fishing a big worm or a big lizard or a beaver or whatever, I'd settled on the little finesse worm here. You know, it was a lot more finessey than a lot of the guys were using. You know, shaky head is another real popular technique, but I knew where I was fishing. You know, I didn't really want to try to have to fish a spinning rod if I didn't have to. I mean, still, you know, had some watercolor and a lot of cover, so I didn't really want to have to battle these fish with, you know, 8-pound lines. So that's essentially what I'd rigged up, this little, you know, finesse worm, and got in there that first day, and I would throw this. I imagine I put my power poles down, and the creek was so narrow you could barely turn your bass boat around in it. So it was maybe 25 foot wide. So I put my power poles down, and I had a spot that was no bigger than where all you are sitting, and I literally would cast over here. I'd throw that worm out there, I'd let it hit the bottom, and I would just shake it, work it back. I'd make a cast, shake it, and that day, I mean, I'd never beat up a spot so bad, but I could tell you where every little stump, every little twig, where it was in the bend of that creek. But what was cool about it was I had managed to have 5 keeper bites that day. I put 4 of them in the boat. Lo and behold, I had 13 pounds. I was like in 3rd or 4th place in this tournament. I was like, you know, pretty good way to salvage the day, and thought at that point, well, maybe there was a shot at winning. The next day we